Hello! The World Cup qualifiers have already begun in North America, South America, Asia, Africa, and Oceania. Literally every confederation except Europe. Why have they not started yet? And when will we know who will face who for a World Cup spot? I'll be doing my best to give you all the information we know. Now keep in mind it's only early October at the time of this recording, so some pieces of information are still missing. Of course, we'll do a prediction video once all the groups are actually announced, so make sure you subscribe to stay tuned for that. So this World Cup qualification will be a bit different to what we've been normally seeing, mainly due to the expansion of the tournament. Previously, UEFA admitted 13 spots to the actual World Cup tournament, but now it's been raised to 16. Last time for UEFA's World Cup 2022 qualification, we saw 10 groups of 5 to 6 countries, but now it will be 12 groups with 4 or 5 national teams each. The winner of each group will automatically qualify for the World Cup, while second place will go to an additional playoff round. The group phase will begin on the 21st of March and end on the 18th of November. The playoff round will happen at the end of March 2026, and I'll get into the details of that later. 55 teams belong to UEFA, but at the time of this recording, Russia are still suspended from the Confederation. They most likely will be ineligible to play for the World Cup 2026 qualifiers. Now, the draw for each of the groups will supposedly commence sometime in December. No official date has been posted yet. If one comes around very soon, I'll pin a comment to this video. But the draw must happen around that time, as we have to wait for everyone's favorite tournament to end, the Nations League. Now, for those of you that don't know, during the recent sets of international break, while many of the other confederations are embarking on their World Cup 2026 qualification journey, UEFA has been playing in a different tournament called the Nations League. Some do call the tournament glorified friendlies, but if you do well in it, you get some massive benefits going into the World Cup 2026 qualifiers. Going back to what I said about the World Cup qualifiers, the first place teams in each of the 12 groups will automatically qualify, while the 12 teams that finish second place will go to the playoff round. However, it's not just them. Also, the 4 best Nations League group winners will advance there as well. The Nations League overall ranking also determines the 4 best countries. Here's an example. Let's say Slovenia, who are in League B of the Nations League, top their group over Norway, Austria, and Kazakhstan. But in their World Cup qualified group, which will be conducted in the future, they finish second to last. They would almost definitely secure a playoff spot, as long as teams from League A are not prioritized over them. Basically, 8 teams from League A have priority over League B teams, as the new Nations League format also favors second place teams from League A to advance to that final knockout round. However, most League A teams that do excel are most likely going to be seeded well in the World Cup qualifying draw, meaning most are expected to do well. And if they do well in both campaigns, their spot gets passed down to teams in the lower leagues that only did well in the Nations League. But yeah, that's another reason why we have to wait for the Nations League group stage to end before the draw starts, because the overall Nations League ranking could influence the pots for the draw. Also keep in mind the teams that are in League A that will qualify for the knockouts of the Nations League will be automatically placed in the groups that only contain 4 countries in the World Cup qualifiers. That's because those countries will play in the Nations League playoffs for the first 4 match days of World Cup qualification, while the others will already begin their World Cup qualification journey. The Nations League will also introduce a new promotion and relegation playoff system, so teams that qualify for that will be placed in the groups of 4 as well, meaning each of the Nations League finalists won't actually begin their World Cup qualification journey until September 4th. Well, like I said, the other groups of 5 will begin March 21st. To be honest, it does seem a bit weird to leave the nations that are doing well hanging, having to wait for the qualifier process. But we'll have to wait and see how that goes once the draw and the Nations League begin. But the Nations League group stage will be going on until November 19th this year, so group placements and stuff like that really won't be determined until then. But essentially, with that all being said, it's very unofficial, but you can argue that World Cup qualification has already begun in UEFA, with the Nations League holding a lot of significance on how this all pans out. But let's get into the specifics of the playoff round now that I explained the importance of the Nations League. 12 teams that finished second in their World Cup qualifier groups, and the 4 best Nations League teams that did not do so hot in the World Cup qualification will all face another once the draw has been conducted, and there will be 4 separate brackets. There will be a semi-final and a final round, all single-legged. The winner of each bracket containing 4 nations will earn a ticket to the World Cup. This playoff round is happening so late that the official World Cup draw will definitely take place before. They'll most likely just label their sheet in the drawing bowl as a UEFA playoff spot. But to summarize, we will know 12 of the qualified teams in November 2025 and 4 of the teams in March 2026. Although it seems crazy that UEFA are starting their qualifier campaign so late compared to the other confederations, most of them will also know the majority of their countries qualified by the same time frame in November 2025. Only CONMEBOL will know about 6 of their potential 7 slots in September. Asia will have 6 as well, but they'll have a few more rounds for their other slots. While CONMEBOL just has 1 country going to an intercontinental playoff round later. As I've stated, 54 UEFA teams will be undergoing this qualification process. 22 have never qualified for the World Cup before, but but with the expansion of the tournament, there is some speculation that we could see some debutants. Right now, Georgia and Albania are looking like the hottest ones to potentially make their first ever World Cup appearance, but maybe we will see some other new surprises. Out of the countries, the one who has never qualified for the World Cup with the most qualification attempts is Luxembourg, but many popular nations have also not played in the world's biggest stage for some time. Scotland, Bulgaria, Austria, Norway, and Romania all haven't played since the World Cup of 1998. 26 years ago at the time of this recording. Hungary and Northern Ireland haven't played since 1986, 38 years ago. And the longest of the droughts is Israel, who haven't played in the World Cup since 1970. Back then, though, they were not part of UEFA, meaning under UEFA, they have never qualified for the World Cup. Now, if I'm missing something from this video, please let me know in the comments below. But a lot of information, including the date of the draw to the pots of the draw, will not be determined until later. Like I said, the Nations League group stage will end in the second half of November. So make sure you stay up to date on what happens there to potentially know more about where each team will stand once the World Cup qualification begins. This entire phase of qualification will occur for a single year, between March 2025 to March 2026. Let me know any early thoughts on what you think will happen in the World Cup qualification. Who will be the dark horses in this qualification campaign, and will we see any new debutants going into the World Cup? Can't wait for it all to begin. I will see you all very, very soon. Take care. Lá com noite.